All right.
From the 8th of the second month of 1441, civilization is ignored as 16. The tower burns in those who brag of their fortune, while ignoring the possibility of divine acts of power. We are not seeking misfortune if 6 of Swords is reversed in the skill for the hour. Don't leave things to happenstance, but reverse 10, the wheel of fortune. And don't leave things to chance in your desire. Don't be a cause of 13 death if you want to save from hereafter's fire. Transform in the delay as you perform without conflicts and become the 2 of coins sire. The social may not honor the solitary. The external and young may not honor the internal and young, but the 9 Hermit reversed embraces the psycho-spiritual quest and is never fully stationary. And I am here with
Araxu.
Lzwvmmh and the various other things he's called. And so, what are your what are your initial thoughts on that piece there?
Yeah, it sure sounded very interesting, I must say. With the part I was reacting to the most was probably the external young is not respecting the internal young. I've been through that myself when I was bullied as a child, because as a child, I was so, I basically went from being introvert to being extroverted. When I was sitting by myself at school, looking up at the sky and pondering the mysteries of why are you not with the other kids, playing with the other kids, playing football or whatever? I told them, please, just leave me alone. I am so fulfilled within myself that I don't need to be with other people. I am a young introvert, but the young extrovert over there wants me to play football and drink beer and smoke cigarettes and just socialize and small talk about meaningless stuff. Today they're talking about coronavirus most of the time. So that was an interesting card, and that is called the, what does it say there? It's very blurry.
The Hermit.
Yes, the Hermit. Oh yes. That card is very tailored for me, actually, because I am a hermit by nature, so to speak. So that was very interesting, indeed. And yeah, so that. What else is there to say? What can you say about the Hermit card?
Well, in this card, you can kind of see.
Yeah.
I think Zoom changes the color or something. I don't know why in the world this is, because it's fainter and some things change color. But anyways, so this you know, so you see this guy at the thing. So he's come up. Basically, he's come out of hiding and being by himself for announcement, and probably he'll return when it's over with. So he goes off and gets done what he's going to get done, and you know that's about the size of it. And it's someone who's considered more important. He has to talk to whatever, but he's going to talk to them like, you know, sort of like a like, you know. But yeah, I guess that was what you can see with with that card.
Now, would you say my interpretation was correct about the Hermit, or is there anything additional I need to learn about it?
Yeah, the Hermit's obviously different than the person who has the house. The house is like, you know, I mean, not that a house is anything bad. The house is just one, it's the system or you're established or something like that. And I guess I'll try to make sure that at least each card as we continue, but so there's the inside and the outside, and the Hermit's like the first one sort of on the inside, although the card shows him on the outside. He's sort of on the inside of something else. Like I know, I mean, okay, people, pretty much everything I do, there's somebody who does it with graphics and or music or something like that, and people are going to like it. But what I'm experiencing mine and commenting on things my way, so that's and I reach a few people here and there, and some material you don't want all that. Some of it you do. Like I understand, like for example, why I'm probably the least viewed person out there who presents Lovecraft.
Because people usually tend to look at the beautiful exterior of things, not the meaning of things.
Although I do like to find a place either by day or night out in the woods to do those to do the Lovecraft ones in particular. There's other ones I've done walking out, finding a place in the shade out of the woods, because
there is nothing wrong with that.
But
but people tend to.
But I'm trying. I'm not just putting on a show. I'm trying to have my own experience while I read things. It may, whatever it is, whether people find it interesting or not. It's like, why are you chanting this? I've never heard somebody chant the translation of this book before. It's like, well, that's how I'm having my experience of it. But it's, what are the? Okay, so the Hermit was.
Which part are we at now?
Was the two of coins. So two of coins was the
two of coins.
Was the card before that.
Oh, it was the card before the Hermit. Right.
Well, I mean, in sequence of what the poem does. I shuffle the cards. I put it in. I put them in what sometimes I pick the arrangement from one of the arrangements that the book or the deck comes with or something. But I wait. I work on a sequence where. One, I tend pretty right away to get better than chance in drawing and arranging or guessing the cards. Like you'll guess which suit the cards are, and you'll do better than 1 and 4 or something like that. Or you'll do 1 and 4 when you have the whole deck and the trumps aren't one of the suits. So you'll do something like that. But or you'll guess a trump when there's But when a card falls in a position that fits in that in that way, like you're arranging things 1 to 10, and something ends up in the pot, a 7 ends up in the spot of 7, and the 7 ends up and an 8 ends up in the spot of 8 or something like that. So I'll keep those 2 cards, and I'll make a poem. So that's what I do with the so sometimes it's like 1 or 2 cards, sometimes it's like 5 cards. It just all depends what's going to be the case. So it's not, so whatever order is picked, so that's the thing about the tarot cards is that it's not that I have shuffled the future and I can tell your future and my future and all this other stuff. It's
that's what people want to hear.
it's a random set of lessons, and I guess that's part of the thing too. Like I was telling someone last night, the gesture that I pointed out. It's like it's a way of saying you're a slave to their system rather than being in touch with your nature and stuff like that. Psychologically, it's the same thing. Psychologically, you're someone's defeated slave and not really for yourself. That's what psychologists say the gesture says. Forget spiritual implications. Psychologists agree that it's not a healthy gesture to make a habit of.
Really? Wow. Yeah.
And it's like, well, why? It's like if all these bad guys, if the bad guys on the movie are doing it, that must be what you're supposed to imitate, right? But they do that because it causes feelings to the people who witness it or something like that. So that's why they pick that. So the 2 of coins, this guy's not juggling like your typical, typical 2 of coins guy, but he could be juggling. He's holding his arms out.
He could be,
So he could be getting ready, but it doesn't appear anybody's looking. So he's just. But maybe he's out there in the middle between the houses and stuff trying to get attention.
That could be.
But he has a balance. He has a balance. he's got his foot kind of like you know that that thing where they walk a tightrope and they're kind of walking.
Yeah.
So I guess he's doing that. So I guess you got that feeling of balance going on with that guy.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And BW, I don't think you have to put your initials on every card, but some of these people, instead of putting it on one or two cards, they put it on every card, and that's fine.
Okay.
I never sign my name on a card unless it's like a mystical name, like that which I give you. Mine is Ihar Hahu Pumluk.
Okay.
But our Pumluch Ashkley.
Yeah, it's very difficult to do that word. Like, how do you do it? Like, or how did you say that?
Ihar Hahu Pumluch.
Ihar Hahu. Okay, go on.
It's Gnuit Kus Yaba. So
Gnuit Ka Yafa.
So basically,
what language is that, by the way?
Lzwvmmh. As I said, I have this. Sometimes it's like sometimes I'll have experience with that language that I'll know something will happen, and like I'll have a new chant or something like this, and I'll need less sleep. Like I'll stay up a couple hours later than expected, and I'll end up with some chant, and I'll write it down if I can, as much as I can. And sometimes it's like I don't need the sleep, and it's weird.
What? That's cool.
I mean, there's a difference when you miss sleep, and it's like, well, you didn't get sleep, but it's like when you stay up and when you have a mystical experience, and some experience I've had with other stuff, and it's like it'll be visual and all that stuff too. It's not just some idea and here's a chant, but sometimes it happens with those chants.
Wow, that's so cool. Wow.
And I mean, I call it so over time I've got the chants quick I've got more of them than I can understand, but as time goes by, I understand the language.
Oh, you do?
Better. So
I thought you understood every single word, but that's not necessarily the case, right?
I've pointed out on the
you
channel,
just
like,
trust in the process, so to speak. Like you have a certain level of trust in your own intuitional instincts that guides you to knowledge, right?
Yeah, I literally had like 100 or 200 of these things before I knew what even a single word meant, and now I have I know, and now I can render it all into numbers. At the very least, I can render everything that I get into numbers. For example, there's this the turtle that I keep finding. I named it Va, and Va in that language means 70, because that turtle with 70 on its shell. So I took that. I don't know. The cats were bothering it or something like this, and so it wasn't really. So that when I found that turtle before putting it back the first time, I named it Va Golg Fu Wa, and so humans usually get 9, but here's the difference. I think maybe VK Hitchahenum didn't like what I did with it. I don't know if he's talked bad about me on his channel, but people come to my channel and say, you need to stop being such a Jesuit. It's like, just say one of VK's chants, and it's like, if I want to use some of my free time and compose a ceremony and then perform it weeks later when I've actually got to the point where I can perform it, that's fine. I shouldn't have to do it the Christian way, and I shouldn't have to do it the VK Jehennem way. So now I'm getting more. I'm getting more complaints that I'm not doing something like EA Co-Wedding or VK Jehennem.
You have to be.
I'm getting more complaints about that than the people saying that, oh, you have to practice Enochian magic as a Christian, or you can't do it at all, or whatever the case.
Many preconceived ideas of how things should be, with no real curiosity at all at what they're learning. I mean.
So VK Jehennem, his vibrations are eep, puv, suz, mum, fun, gug, nu, uwa, and that's his. But he's got 8. I don't know why no other person's got 8, but that's
okay.
So I don't know whether it's myself or something else trying to tell me something about him, because every time when I translate these chants, sometimes I find stuff that I didn't find. I couldn't Google search it. I couldn't whatever, and then I find something, some ancient Persian reference or something that says, oh yeah, this entity has this, is attributed to having this quality.
Wow.
And so these
Yeah.
people who read one version of one grimoire when there's like 5 versions of
Yeah,
Galileo or
exactly.
something like this, they say, oh, you know, any other thing else that
Yeah.
you say is no, thank you
Yeah.
very much. I pointed out where I'm getting some of my information. I've
Mhm.
here's the pile of
Mhm.
dictionaries where I've looked to see
Yeah.
that linguistically, here's some of the things. And
Wow.
sometimes it's linguistically. So like sometimes they
Yeah.
don't, people who
Uh-huh.
write these books, they don't know what
Mhm.
these names mean. They just repeat whatever. And
Yeah.
it's like, I am the
Yeah.
filthy beast. And it's like, are you
Yeah.
aware that's what you're saying? Are you aware you're really chanting, I am the
Yeah.
filthy beast?
Yeah. I mean, they're going about it complete. I mean, it's like the occult to me is like it's a trend. It's a social trend basically for these people that are not the real deal. You can clearly see which people are which. Like those who are in it for the knowledge and those in it for Satanists for the trend. Like, okay, they have a big pentagram on Facebook and 666 and black clothes, and it's all for the show for these people. It's all for the fucking social state.
Are someone who wants it for the stigma and just gets, it's like this chart
Yeah.
right here. I do not think
Uh-huh.
the guy who's
Oh,
made
back to
millions of
that.
dollars leading this organization that's still alive, I don't think
What?
that him or the guy before him or the guy before him, I don't think they knew what, I would doubt, maybe the first guy, but I don't think they
Yeah.
knew what these names mean. So I made this chart. I made this chart telling what every name means, what every supposed entity name means.
Yeah.
And honestly, what they're named for, their name for the devil, their name for the devil of their system is honestly sort of the guy you want to be worshiping. If this is the guy that you don't, that's beyond blame, beyond fear,
Yeah.
the highest without blame here, the
Yeah.
that the time,
Yeah.
the the
Wow.
God over time and all this stuff. It's like, no, dude,
Yeah.
that's who I want to worship, not some person who's going to punish me to burn off my karma or something like that.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. I mean, you
but
have to.
people
Yeah.
say all these chants and they don't know what it means.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
And I mean, they don't. If they don't mean, I mean, that means they don't care about the effect it has upon them or the potential effect it might have upon them. Right. I mean,
they're doing it with this faith that this is for the astral realm or this is for the thing.
yeah.
I can work those systems,
Yeah.
but honestly, I'm going to try to figure out what something means before I try to do something. It's like sometimes
Yeah.
they just like
Yeah.
they mess up the pronunciation of some language and jumble some stuff together and they don't know what's what.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
then on
I
top
mean,
of that, they don't even know what it means. And yeah,
I mean,
it's
there's so
like
many traps too. I mean, in the spiritual world. I mean, you have to be naive to. I mean, even Jesus himself fucking said, beware the wolves in sheep's clothing. I mean, even the fucking
well what's I didn't mean to interrupt too much.
Yeah.
I think the point
Yeah.
that makes that more that sense is this.
Yeah.
It's not that you can't repeat stuff.
Mhm.
Certain whether Omarathanadi or
Yeah.
Leptoni or whatever or Zakar Kar Zamran Odakika Zorgulat Zirdo Nukamad Hoathieda or whatever you're repeating repeatedly. But
Yeah.
but it's that you're not
Mhm.
just parroting stuff and repeating things along. That was the whole
Yeah.
point of calling Jesus the living word, is that he was
Mhm.
somebody that would just that wasn't just repeating stuff. He was like
Yeah.
doing stuff and he could live his life on it rather than
Yeah.
just oh crap.
Right.
It's like, you know what happened after Muhammad died?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
People would not live in certain houses when they conquer when the Persian Empire was persecuting their minorities and they went in to deal with that.
Yeah.
When they went up there and put an end to that briefly, at least, certainly people remembered, oh, what the Mobids, what did the Mobids do? And now you have all these Ayatollahs and stuff like this. So people remembered what happened and said we can get away with it again. But anyway, so the point,
Yeah.
people didn't
Yeah.
people didn't know. It's like wheat and barley was the only things that they probably knew of Muhammad ever eating as far as grain. So they were like, we don't know what to do with other grains. So when they encountered rice and some of the other stuff,
Yeah.
they were rice and millets and rye and stuff. They didn't know what to do with it, so they left it. It's like they should have known what to do with it because they had ethics. But some of these people, they wouldn't live in a Persian style house because they're like, well, us Arabs, we don't live in that. It's like, well, they don't have snow where the Arabs are. Thank you very much. Except the highest
Okay.
mountains. So it's like
Yeah.
the houses were totally different.
Wow. That
You know,
shit.
you want a
Really?
house that you can seal up and keep warm that way.
Uh,
You know, because the Persians would seal their houses with pitch for the winter and stuff like this. And
wow, interesting. Oh, I didn't know that.
but people didn't know what to do with the new fabrics, and then it's like, but they had
Mhm.
the ethics. So the idea of the living word, the Lucifer principle, really is what
Mhm.
you could say it is. The real
Mhm.
Lucifer principle is somebody who can just
Yeah.
who's that shining example of the principles in a living sort of way, rather than just, okay, let's pick up it's like, I don't have one of those
Yeah.
books.
Or cookbook.
Even
Yeah.
even if I saw it at a
Yeah.
thrift store for $1, I might pick up one of those Jewish books where they have 200 pages of what food and
Yeah.
stuff you're supposed to eat.
Yeah.
Uh, and they made the rabbis made it stricter, so just to prove a point about how it's like,
Mhm.
this is,
Yeah.
why can't you be the Muslims have like 5 rules that everybody can remember,
Mhm.
5 rules, but
Yeah.
200
Uh-huh.
pages of stuff, that's too much.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, you know, I have it's like the basic numbers 1 to 10 are
Mhm.
a, la, ga, I, u, r, ha, va, ta, na. So,
Wow.
you know, and then you have the different, it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
Uh-huh.
you have, then you have
Yeah.
50, 100, 500, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million, a billion, a
Oh,
trillion.
it quickly
Uh,
accelerated.
so bus, sa,
Oh, yeah.
alpha, wa, o, ya, da, za, and then you have,
Yeah.
you know, twice would be
Yeah.
ja, 9 times would be pa, cha is a fraction of, so that's how you determine a fraction.
Uh-huh.
7 times would be pa, 3 times would be x, 5 times would be ka. So basically its alphabet has been given numbers, to say the least. And
Wow. That's interesting. It sounds a little bit like Chinese, you know.
well, just like
In
basic,
pronunciation.
there's basic glossolalia, and there's this seems to be a little bit something different, because I can figure out, if I
Uh-huh.
know a part of something, then I figure out, wait a second, these words relate, and all
Uh-huh.
that stuff. And it's like, so it
Yeah.
seems to be more than just making random sounds at different times and being different. But glossolalia sounds like, if you've ever done it and ever noticed a bunch of it, you end up sounding like different. I don't know whether it's the occasion or
Yeah.
subject or whatever, but it's, you end up saying stuff in, you know,
Mhm.
it sounds, some of it sounds like Arabic, some of it sounds like Chinese, and you don't, and
Yeah.
or some other, I don't speak Chinese, or you know, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you end up sounding like it's like you end up sounding like some
Uh-huh. Yeah. Some.
some Irish sorcerer
Yes.
on some movie or something.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I was thinking about when thinking about the pronunciation there. Yeah. It sounded funny though, in a way.
Different languages,
Uh-huh.
like English, for some reason we've tried to incorporate all the sounds of every
Mhm.
language, which I guess
Mhm.
is a benefit to some degree, because in some technical terms somewhere,
Mhm.
there's
Mhm.
something about, um,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
you know, all the clicks and pops of those African
Yeah.
hunting tribes, but
Oh yeah.
they develop language. People have languages for like really cold weather and really hot weather, and
Really?
different terrains and different amounts of, you know, the land
Wow.
can be different, and that can change how the language is developed amongst the people, and
It can.
the plants could be different, or they respond, or there's a different animal in the area that they're dealing with, or
Wow. That's so interesting. I never thought about.
so that
So yeah.
this in my
I
mind
mean,
completely throws off this garbage that you hear with it's like,
mm,
I've been telling you, I've been pointing out that doing these Christian commentaries, and not only it's like this,
uh-huh.
that Alexander Ross,
Mhm.
his comment
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
warnings for reading the Quran are basically a list,
Mhm.
includes a list of basically
Uh-huh.
why you should never trust
Yeah.
the Bible, because it's like, well,
Uh-huh.
we can't list of any things here, but the Bible's full of all these contradictions and inserts
Yeah.
from scribes, and it's compiled from there's various
Yeah.
Chaldean and other wait a second. If you're admitting
Yeah.
that it's probably the result of pre-Hebrew culture,
Yeah.
from the surrounding, from the parts of the world that they would have known about, And their culture's in it. How much of their culture's in it, they don't know. Basically, they're saying a good Christian will just know the truth of the book.
Yeah. Just John 3:16. They got it.
So to me, it's funny how those people kind of point that out. But
yes, definitely. I mean, shit. I mean, not only do they not read the whole Old Testament and throw that out of the way.
Well, that's one of the things he was saying, is that how many Christians even read the Bible in their entire lifetime, and we're starting to have to respond to these Muslims who read their book every month, and we don't know, we kind of don't know what to do. So you don't want to read this book by itself. Read my thing that warns you of all these things. So you're just going to presume there's all sorts of contradictions and other stuff that's just like any other book, and like it's. But one of the things they keep saying is the wickedness is this. It's like your own desire. It's like fighting in self-defense or accepting your own nature. It's like I don't know. I think those things that you would do, but yeah, basically they were listing. Basically, the guy made a very strong point to leave Christianity rather than stay on Christian, because a good Christian would just realize how different we are. But for centuries it was like, we are white Christians, and that's we're white Christians and we're different. So therefore anything else that just proves its inferiority because it's different than us, and it's like, you got to do better than that. Which is probably why they weren't why people weren't reading the Bible. But so
I mean,
here's another card to give your thoughts on, if you have any thoughts about this Wheel of Fortune.
And what's the name of this card?
The Wheel of Fortune.
The Wheel of Fortune. Okay. Well, let's see what I can find. If I can see the card a little more clearly, just that seems to be. Is that a lion?
I see that on my thing. Well, actually, there's animals. So on this one, rather than a lion, a snake, and a sphinx, a lion, and I don't know, a dog is usually the thing. I guess there's the fool here. I guess the hand from the clouds supposed to be God or something, and you twist it and turning the crank of the wheel. Well, an entity in control of fate. That's one thing. I don't know. You got a donkey and a horse, or is it just another donkey or mule or something on top of there? Is he grasping at the moon or something? But they're all hanging onto the wheel. They're trying to keep hold of the wheel, and it's supposed to be your fate. And something else. There's more than just what your choice is, and there's obviously outside forces, but it's what we do with what we have, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's those brass rings there. Why are those brass rings on the floor? I don't know if down in California there's this new age. There's this group. There's a Church of Hermetic Sciences, and they talk about being on a cross with these brass rings, and then you have your experience.
Oh, really?
So they hang themselves up. You hang yourselves up on a big old cross of brass rings, and you trip. Basically, you meditate there until you trip.
I have a theory though about the brass. If you read the Bible, there is a guy who actually has feet like unto brass. If that ain't Satan or Jesus. Oh no, it was Jesus. Yeah, Jesus had the feet of brass in the Book of Revelation. I can remember. Maybe that's related to it. I don't know.
Well,
it's certainly interesting.
He had brown skin and black woolly hair in other passages. So I think that's he had youth. He had skin that was in good condition, I guess.
All I know about brass, it has some biblical significance of some sort. I just don't know what it is. But I heard that gold and brass. I don't know if it's happened to you, but it's like.
Either by calluses or whatnot, when you've worked and your feet kind of it's like it's like, as you can tell, I'm a fairly pale person, but
definitely
sometimes on my hands, when I've it takes I don't do as much. I'm not in the condition to do as much, but over time you end up doing more than most people, because you're like, I'm willing to skip my TV to not watch any fiction for a couple weeks and get some stuff done every day. And like I was telling somebody, like, if don't complain about money when you're sitting on hundreds or thousands of dollars, if you're just willing to, it's like you'd rather have a house of stuff you're not going to even use. It's like if you've inherited stuff from over 100 years ago and less, and you figure you're never going to use it. It's just sitting around and in piles in the side of this room or that room, and it's like there's no reason to have 6 people's stuff in your home. 6 people's stuff should not be in your home. Unless some of them are living there. If you had a wife and kids and they all had their stuff, that's one thing. But but anyways, you get these spots that are a little bit browner or yellower and a little bit more orange or brown, bronzes or something. So basically somebody who works. But there's bronze is sort of bronze has copper in it, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. Okay.
So every one of those things is like there are things that happen literally as part of the vision. You see this, but there are things that have meaning too. So a lot of that stuff is just open to stuff. But the Book of Daniel, as I pointed out before, the Arcot and stuff like this, there was a chronicle about the son of Daniel, 1,500 years BCE. A good 500, about 1,000 years before the Book of Daniel that the Jews wrote, there was a Book of Daniel that they rewrote the thing upon. The Book of Revelations was rewritten from something about 100 years ago. The Book of John was rewritten for something 4 centuries prior, and even Saint Irenaeus knew that basically the Book of John started out, and they made it bigger as time goes on. The initial books, the canonical Gospels, but they were written at different times, and they waited till, for example, the Book of Acts waited until Apollonius was dead for 20 years to write. Then that same guy wrote, what was it, Mark? And Mark wrote one of the Gospels, and then there was so Matthew and Luke wrote their Gospels next, and or something like that. But anyways, I think it was Luke. But they admit there was a church father at the time. So rather than the third generation account being written by somebody in that century, they've tried to act like it was written during the time of Jesus or something like this, and it wasn't. No historian can say this. But they added stuff to it, and they rewrote those themes. But you have symbolic stuff, like you have this obviously the zodiacal theme of a man and a you got 4 different things. So you got I don't know, an eagle and a bull. Your typical 4 are a man, a bull, a lion, and an eagle.
Lion,
like that.
An eagle. Okay,
or maybe a vulture or whatever. But I mean,
I was gonna say,
here you got you got ascendant mode, the still mode, and the descending mode, but you also typically have represented salt, sulfur, and mercury. Which I've told you. E.A. Coetting decided I'm making my orgonite, which is basically a faith-based rock. And they break up. One of the things about orgonite, if you buy a stone's going to be there. There are some stones that, like bornite, and what's the other stone I have that's changed color since I got it?
Bloodstone.
You cut it, and it exposes a certain color. But over time, that color kind of fades into one or the other. So
diamond or no?
Diamonds don't do that. Bornite does it. Peacock ore. Peacock ore has all these colors. It kind of looks like it kind of looks more golden and stuff as time goes on, but it starts off all purpley and it's still shiny, but it loses a lot of its purple as the years go by. So I got a bornite stone that was all that they call it peacock ore, because I have one.
What they do?
I have a stone that's about that big, and it reminds you of a peacock. But if you I got that stone 20 years ago, 15 years ago or something, and now it's kind of a golden color. It looks more like pyrite in its coloring than it does than when I first got it. And there's another stone that it was a blue stone, and it gets more brown as time goes by. but you can
Okay.
take it, you can take it
Oh,
and put it in a polisher and turn it blue if you want.
wow.
But
Okay.
you know, so there's stuff
Wow.
that does that. But anyway, so this organite stuff, basically they have resin and you throw in rocks and and some copper wires and like this. And equating, of course, wants to bleed in it and all this stuff. It's like, you know, like VK him and his jerking off and bleeding on stuff. Thank you very much. Ew. Um, I don't see how that's necessary to jerk off on your drawings and to cut yourself all the time and whatnot. It's, you know, but any